Tonight, breaking news from the East China Sea. A standoff between Japan and China has captured global attention. A Chinese fishing captain, Zheng Nianli, has just been released by Japanese authorities after a dramatic diplomatic standoff. The crisis began with a collision at sea, quickly escalating into a major international incident. Both nations claim the contested waters, fueling a long-standing territorial dispute. The arrest of a Chinese citizen by Japan was seen as a direct challenge in Beijing, while Tokyo insisted it was enforcing its laws. The world watched as tensions soared, with both sides refusing to back down. Emergency meetings were held in Tokyo, while Beijing issued strong protests and demanded the captain's release. The standoff highlighted deep mistrust rooted in history and modern ambitions. News channels in both countries provided constant updates, amplifying public pressure. For Japan, the dilemma was clear: enforce the law or risk damaging ties with its largest trading partner. For China, it was about defending sovereignty and national pride. The release of Captain Zheng ended a week of intense pressure, but the underlying issues remain unresolved. This incident is more than a dispute over a fishing boat. It's about sovereignty, maritime law, and the fragile peace in East Asia. The world now looks to Japan and China, hoping diplomacy can prevail over confrontation. The questions raised are profound. How can such incidents be prevented? What mechanisms exist to de-escalate future tensions? The fragile peace in these waters is at stake. The story is far from over. The next chapter may be even more consequential. The world is watching, hoping for a path to stability. The East China Sea remains a flashpoint. The challenge now is to prevent history from repeating itself. The incident unfolded near the Goto Islands, a hotspot for both fishing and territorial disputes. A Chinese trawler, Minjinyu 05179, was spotted by the Japanese Coast Guard, suspected of fishing illegally in Japan's exclusive economic zone. Japanese patrol boats signaled the trawler to stop. The vessel ignored warnings and tried to flee. A chase ensued, ending with the Chinese trawler ramming a Japanese patrol boat. No one was injured, but the collision caused significant damage. Japan saw this as a clear violation of maritime law and a direct challenge to its authority. The Chinese crew claimed they were in traditional fishing grounds and accused Japan of harassment. Both sides accused the other of aggression. The Japanese Coast Guard boarded the trawler and arrested Captain Zheng Nianli for obstructing public duties. The crew and vessel were detained, and the captain was taken to Ishigaki Island for questioning. This arrest transformed a maritime incident into a full-blown diplomatic crisis. The physical confrontation at sea was over, but a larger battle had just begun. The world's attention shifted to the escalating standoff. The incident exposed the lack of clear boundaries and the volatility of the region. What started as a routine patrol became an international flashpoint. The stage was set for a diplomatic showdown. The stakes had never been higher. For Japan, the case was simple. A foreign vessel broke the law in its waters. The Japanese Coast Guard acted to protect the nation's exclusive economic zone. The arrest of Captain Zheng was, in Tokyo's view, a standard legal response. Japanese officials presented video evidence and insisted the law would take its course. Backing down, they argued, would undermine national sovereignty. For China, the incident was a political provocation. Beijing does not recognize Japan's EEZ in the disputed area, citing historical fishing rights. China called the arrest illegal and demanded the captain's immediate release. Diplomatic protests escalated, with Beijing summoning the Japanese ambassador multiple times. Both sides stuck to their narratives. Japan insisted on legal process, China on political sovereignty. The two countries talked past each other, locked in opposing views. The standoff became a test of will, not just law. The legal and political lines blurred as pressure mounted. The world watched, anxious for a resolution. The dispute was no longer just about a fishing boat, it was about power and principle. Captain Zheng's arrest triggered a complex legal process in Japan. Prosecutors on Ishigaki Island extended his detention to investigate, citing the need for thorough evidence review. Each day in custody fueled anger in Beijing, which saw the process as a deliberate provocation. Japan insisted the judiciary was independent and immune to political pressure. Meanwhile, China's diplomatic protests intensified, demanding the captain's unconditional release. The legal and diplomatic clocks were out of sync, creating a quagmire. Behind the scenes, economic and political pressure on Japan mounted. The Japanese government was caught between upholding legal principles and averting a diplomatic disaster. The situation grew increasingly untenable. The world wondered how far each side would go. The standoff threatened to spiral out of control. The stakes for regional stability were rising fast. As the captain remained in custody, China escalated its response. Beijing suspended high-level talks and reportedly restricted rare earth exports to Japan, hitting key industries. China's demands were uncompromising: release the captain, apologize, and pay compensation. Public outrage in China fueled the government's hardline stance. Japan faced mounting economic threats and international pressure, but domestic opinion demanded a firm response. Japanese businesses feared boycotts and disruptions in China. Neither side was willing to back down. Japan insisted on legal process, China on political demands. The deadlock deepened, with communication channels cut and rhetoric intensifying. The United States urged dialogue, but a solution seemed distant. The standoff became a test of national resolve. The risk of miscalculation was high. The world watched, concerned about the potential for escalation. The crisis was no longer about a single incident, it was about the future of regional order. The stakes had never been clearer. This was not the first time such a crisis erupted. In 2010, a similar collision near the disputed Senkaku Diaoyu Islands led to the arrest of a Chinese captain by Japan. China responded with fury, cutting off diplomatic contacts and rare earth exports. Under intense pressure, Japan released the captain, citing the need to protect bilateral relations. The move was seen in Japan as capitulation, sparking national debate and regret. For China, the 2010 incident proved that hardline tactics worked. This precedent shaped both countries' strategies in the current standoff. Japan's government was determined not to repeat what many saw as a past mistake. China, confident in its approach, escalated quickly. The legacy of 2010 loomed over every decision. Both sides were trapped by history and public expectations. The dilemma: stand firm and risk economic pain, or compromise and risk appearing weak. The ghost of 2010 haunted the crisis. After weeks of tension, Japanese prosecutors abruptly released Captain Zheng, dropping charges. The official reason: to protect Japan-China relations and avoid further escalation. The decision shocked Japan, sparking criticism of government weakness and political interference in the legal process. Many Japanese felt humiliated, believing their country had been bullied. In China, the release was celebrated as a diplomatic victory and proof of national strength. Captain Zheng returned home a hero, and the government's tough tactics were vindicated. The outcome reinforced China's belief in pressure tactics. The core territorial dispute remained unresolved. The release ended the immediate crisis, but set a dangerous precedent. Future incidents could be shaped by political and economic leverage, not law. The peace achieved was fragile and costly for Japan's credibility. The region's stability remained in question. The world wondered if this was a solution, or just a pause, before the next crisis. The underlying tensions persisted, unresolved. Media coverage in Japan and China painted starkly different pictures of the incident. In Japan, the focus was on law enforcement, sovereignty, and the video evidence of the collision. The narrative: Japan as a law-abiding nation forced to back down by Chinese pressure. Criticism of the government's decision was widespread. In China, the story was one of victimization and righteous anger. The trawler was portrayed as a peaceful vessel, the captain as a hero. Japanese actions were depicted as aggression. China's response as justified. The media stoked nationalism and support for the government's hardline stance. The release was celebrated as a triumph of Chinese diplomacy. These opposing narratives deepened the divide between the two countries. Public opinion hardened on both sides. The incident left lasting scars on national consciousness. The release of Captain Zheng ended the standoff, but the core issues remain. The East China Sea is still a zone of overlapping claims and constant tension. Both nations continue to patrol the disputed waters, risking future clashes. The incident exposed the urgent need for crisis management and communication channels. Without clear protocols, minor incidents can spiral into major crises. The broader context is a shifting balance of power in East Asia. Lasting peace will require more than managing maritime encounters. It demands addressing deep strategic mistrust. The world depends on stability in these vital waters. The challenge is to learn from this crisis and build a more cooperative future. The next incident may be just a matter of time,